It is tough fighting Antifa from your mom's basement. I just thought I'd insult myself since I've heard quite a few insults on me. Uh, maybe one or two insults on a few of the pages that I've been on, and one of them, I forget what name they called me or what they said about me. It was. I'm just looking at it. I think he called me an NPD or something like that. But yes, it was something that's, I don't know, something rather modern. Uh, Basically saying that I wasn't that big of an intellectual, which I don't know if I claim to be. You know, sometimes in my ego, I think I am, but in reality, I know that I'm not. I'm just here looking at a perspective. So Biden said Antifa is not an organization, but it is an idea. He also was asked if he would condemn the violence, and he said, "I'm not the political violence," and he said, "I'm not the president." Do you have to be the president to condemn political violence? So people have kind of said that Antifa is an idea, not an organization. There are no cards. It seems like gaslighting and being rather disingenuous about the group Antifa. I suspect because they want their party, the Democratic Party, to win. They just don't want to acknowledge the political violence that comes from that side. Or they, to a degree, support political violence. There is a siren coming by. But I've posted a few things on a local Facebook page. And I think I'm gonna write down the list of insults people call me. And yeah, so already, I guess 2 thumbs down already. That's kind of surprising. Now, if Joe wants to join me, he's certainly welcome to join the the podcast. This is a podcast, or I'm really ignorant on such things. Yes, put a thumbs up. Please like the video, because there are people that I think they just go to dislike it, and they don't even post an insult. They just post automatic thumbs down. It's a little bit on the disheartening side, but it is what it is. I certainly can't change people's opinion, of the situation. I do hope for some civility, and this is regardless of who wins the presidency. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of shouting down and anger, and people believe if they believe you to be a fascist, they have the right to interrupt you and stop you from speaking, and kicking you off platforms, and firing you from your work if you are what they deem to be a fascist. Because I guess they believe if certain ideas get promoted all of a sudden a new Hitler is going to come to power, or Trump is secretly Hitler, and he's going to enact Mein Kampf. And like I said, has he done things that may be cruel? I guess, I don't know. I mean, perhaps the immigration, the children, so-called in cages, but you can argue that it was done also under the Obama administration. Maybe he's done worse. I don't know. But it's hard to examine facts when people are as emotional as they are. The same thing with this pandemic. You really can't engage. I mean, this should be an argument within the medical community, and we should have lively debates on this issue, because this is an issue that is affecting all of our lives. And the lives of what is just and unjust should also be debated. That's just my opinion. And to me, if the people who believe in are these Antifa groups who believe that it's an idea, if they have their way, they will disrupt freedom of speech and freedom of dialogue. They also believe in being violent towards their political opponents. It's going to get into the Proud Boys as well. The Proud Boys are a mixed, I mean, they have both, they have blacks, they have Latinos, they have Asians, they have gays in their group. And they're called a fascist group. They're also called white supremacists when I guess the goalpost for white supremacy has been really moved, that you can have multi-racial, that a group that is multiracial could be considered white supremacist. Just, I guess, to me, doesn't make sense. But who am I to argue? I'm just a person that is spouting off things in his mother's basement. That's what I like to tell people. If anyone knows me or knows my story, they know that I'm in my mother's basement. And Mom is fixing a pot of lasagna right now while I fight the evil commies. Not really, I don't. But anyway, yeah, you know what? Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And if you don't like my video, I'd really like you to leave a comment down below why you put thumbs down. Now, I've got a fan who really, a hater. His name is Jamal X. He's a very emotional person, by the way. He likes to have his shirt off and show his tattoos, and uses the word X. He really hates me. I was going to go into blaring, like how some of these groups are well-to-do, and some of these social justice warriors are well off, and they haven't known poverty in their life. One of them is Blair Imani. She comes from wealth and or some privilege, economic privilege, and she's a queer. She calls herself a queer Muslim, like that would be acceptable in the Islamic world. And she did a whole video on how Western. Oh, he's already TDM. You know what? I'm going to stay a little bit longer because I've got one of my bigger fans, Jamal X. Now, I've said, he used the word X like Malcolm X, but Malcolm X, by the way, was a master Stoic. Jamal X, you are not a Stoic person. You are far more emotional than Malcolm ever was. and he was also a master debater. And he only used violence in course of self-defense. But of course, the establishment basically supports, much of the establishment supports Jamal X and the rest to do political violence and the like. So they get away with things, like I said, that the left gets away with things that the right could never get away with, if we're being honest. Hey, if you think I'm wrong, please tell me where and tell me how. I'd love to hear from that, because I accept criticism and even insults. Malcolm Little. Yes, Malcolm. Well, Malcolm Little was not a Stoic, but when he became Malcolm X and when he had his Islamic name, he was somewhat of a Stoic person. And and actually a master Stoic with lots of discipline. And that's what I like. So maybe you're in the Malcolm Little stage, Jamal, and you haven't really reached your X stage, because you are not. You are a very emotional person. I would say almost to the level of. I don't want to get into what level of emotion, but it's almost like you're a Well, they didn't kill him because he was a Stoic, and he was killed by the Nation of Islam. Anytime you go into a radical group of any kind, you do run the risk of being murdered. And I also want to say, Norman Lincoln Rockwell was also killed by one of his own. These are, anytime you enter into a radical group, you stand a chance of being hurt. And I don't think he was killed by our government. I think that is a bunch of nonsense. And had he been radical and loud and hardcore as you are, he would have been killed by our government. There was no acceptance for that, for the type of behavior that they exhibited, or they would have crushed it immediately. In jail, at that time in jail, you would be beaten by the guards. The guards controlled the prisons at that time, and they had no tolerance for types of buffoonery. You had to be a very strong person, and they would cool hand Luke you if you behaved the way you did back in those days. So you're not being very honest. I mean, you're being a little bit disingenuous, Jamal. A little bit disingenuous. Anyway, it's a better thing to be a Stoic person than an emotional person. I just kind of believe that. Sorry, I was going to end it, but once I got a load of Jamal X, I wonder what he thinks of Blair Imani, the bisexual, or the queer Muslim. She comes from privilege. I don't think Jamal X comes from privilege. He does look like he's had a rather hardened life. I don't know. Maybe he is a rich kid that decided to act impoverished. But he certainly is not the most noble character out there. And Reception Joe says, so Jamal is another believer in the media failing all of these narratives. I will break down the media for you, Malcolm. Yeah. I'd love to have Jamal X on my show, because, like I said, I think emotion is the enemy of reason, or going with emotion and letting your emotion control you is the enemy of reason. Now, TDM, I don't know what that is short for. I was going to Google that. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I just, yeah. So, folks, this is Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like and subscribe. And if you're going to vote a thumbs down, please tell me why. I'd like to know. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.